So let's have an adult conversation, ladies. If you're with kids, put on your headphones. If you're at work, this is not made for work. All right, so this was posted in the 2X chromosomes subreddit. She says, I feel like most men couldn't care less about making a woman orgasm. All right, y'all, let's just jump into this. She says, maybe it's just a me thing, but I've been with a decent number of people. And when it comes to X, whether or not I come is literally not even a question in most guys' eyes. Sure, there's the rare one who really believes in his skills with his fingers and mouth. But by and large, in my experience, dudes really don't give an F if you come. And it's frustrating. It's like a total lack of initiative or concern. Most guys, in my experience, will maybe touch me for 30 seconds if I'm lucky, and then it's just straight into penetrative X. They don't even try to make you come. They don't even ask if you came afterward. It's it's interesting because I care so much about making my partners feel good, and I know a lot of us are probably like that. I give a lot of foreplay, do anything you can before the actual act, and it's rarely reciprocated. Obviously, I know whether or not I orgasm from X is ultimately on me, but I guess the lack of initiative or lack of care for my pleasure is interesting. I'm getting older, late 20s now, and ish is not changing like I was promised it would. Bent over, gah. Okay, so her problem right here. It's interesting because I care so much about making my partners feel good. That right there is the problem, especially if they haven't actually reciprocated. She says it's rarely reciprocated. If you have done something for somebody, I don't care if it's actually or otherwise, if you keep doing and doing and doing and they never reciprocate, stop doing. Don't stop. Pour into the, I say this, I haven't said this in a while. Pour into the people who have poured into you. Stop giving a damn about people who don't give a damn about you. And that's actually or otherwise. Stop like going to the grocery store and cooking these meals and just doing like meal prep for people, like letting them come over and eat, and they never bother bringing you a meal. They never bother saying, hey, you know what? I know you spent all this money on these groceries. Here's some money. Stop doing things for people who would not give a damn about you in any of these capacities. Stop, because you're a giver. Giver, giver, giver. A taker will just keep on taking until you stop giving. A taker is not just going to be like, you know what? This person just keeps giving. Maybe I should do something for this person. No, stop doing this. Stop giving, giving, giving. Once you figure that out, once it really gets ingrained into your brain that reciprocation is important, then it's easy to apply it to, different varieties of situations. All right, let's get into some of these comments. 60 Apes says, they don't get to penetrate until they make you come. This should be the standard. Yes, that should be the standard because, yes, just make sure that you get yours first, period. That's it. Let's repeat that. They don't get to penetrate until they make you come. Please just put that in your brain. Just put it right there. Christopher says, this is the absolute bedrock truth. All my horniness and energy leaves my body as soon as I come. So I make damn sure my wife has at minimum one orgasm before I do, because the show is pretty much over after that. It's cuddle time. I don't know those guys who can go multiple, I don't know how those guys who can go multiple times do it. Blue Dragonfly says, I thought I was only dating women until I met my fiance. Still didn't think I'd marry a man, but he proved that wrong too. He's the best in a million ways, but I really do appreciate that he's always done this with zero direction. 8 years later, and still my favorite and the best I'll ever have. I never met a man who focused on my happiness, comfort, health, pleasure, pain, and well-being so thoroughly. I didn't think they existed and didn't know you could still get butterflies this far on. It's so lovely when care flows the same both ways and with such strong and unquestionable love. Laughing at anyone who thinks it's BS. It's not the only reason, but it's one reason I enjoy pleasing him too. And I'm so invested in that. There you go. Positive stories. MPHV51 says I would almost put it on my dating profile. Not really, but I would consider it. Bacon Square says, I hate to be so pessimistic, but my fear would be if they heard that, they would know all the right things to say to get to bed. Yes, that makes sense. Then they do the same without following through on their words. That makes sense. Yeah, don't give them too much. Yeah, that's a good point right there. Frida says, I feel you. My ex loved oral, and it was an expectation for me to go down on him often, and he just didn't seem to understand that reciprocity, while it should be expected, can still be given. For every one orgasm I got out of him, I gave him at least 10. It was so uneven because no matter how I tried to bring it up, he just didn't care about my pleasure as much as I cared about his. My orgasm was optional and a bore, apparently, while his was important. And the kicker, he tried painting himself as a dude who loves going down on women in the beginning. All right, 1 to 10. The math is not mathing. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. Ladies, stop doing this. Make reciprocation, it like I just said, put it in the forefront of your brain. Don't do that anymore. No more. No more of this lack of consideration and reciprocation. Put it at the right there. All right, y'all. I'm going to leave it there. Reciprocation is important. That is the lesson of this. Reciprocation. Put it right there. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This woman asked this in the Ask Men subreddit. She says, how do I tell him I'm done? All right, so she asked men. She says, I've told my husband I want a divorce. He's never put in any effort with me or the kids, inflicted verbal and emotional abuse on all of us for 19 years. And now that my kids are bigger and I'm not so naive, I am done. Since telling him, he's been on his best behavior, cleaning the house, helping with the kids, offering to take me places, etc. I can't get it through to him that I'm not trying to make it work anymore and he's wasting his time. I actually have no problem being amicable about the divorce and remaining friends in whatever capacity he can handle, but I know that if I push the issue with divorce, he's going to unleash fury and make this all about me being selfish. I appreciate him trying to step up, but I know this cycle and it's not for me anymore. From a guy's perspective, how can I diplomatically approach this and let him know we're not staying together no matter how much he changes for the better? Treat your next wife better. Peace. Okay, I am not a man, but she says, I've told my husband I want a divorce. And like these men are about to say, it's not about telling him, it's about showing him at this particular juncture. She's said enough. She's talked enough. She's told him enough over the years. She gave him 19 years. She gave him 19 years. So I'm sure during that time, she has told him things. She's asked him things. She's implored things to him. All of that. It's time to show him. Show him better than you can tell him. But Honey Bucket DJ says you start the process and do what your divorce lawyer tells you to do. Detrius Troll says, yes, at this point, the legal experts do the talking. It's still me again, says exactly this. Don't move out. Don't say another word about your plans until you've consulted a couple of divorce attorneys and chosen and engaged one. Then do what the attorney tells you to do. If it's to move out, then do it on the schedule recommended, but not before. Glittering Mouse says, don't leave. No, don't leave. Just file. Original Employee says, depends on what the lawyer advises. It's generally better to just leave town completely, but you might risk losing valuable possessions in the divorce. The most dangerous time for women in abusive relationships is when they get pregnant or try to leave. All right, so this man honed in on the part right here where it says, you've consulted a couple divorce attorneys. He says, make sure you talk with the biggest and best ones in your region. Not sure if it works that way, but I read here once that they can't take on your husband after they had a consultation with you. Okay. So he's just saying talk to them because now he can't get those people. Okay, I get it now. Your dad's username says exactly. You don't need to convince him. He'll figure it out somewhere down the line. Eugene's Blue Jean says this isn't like launching a nuclear bomb. They don't both have to turn the key. Snoo Cake says the response that immediately entered my head was hire a lawyer. Thanks for saying this to the OP. I wish you and your kids all the best in these trying times, but you shouldn't have to do this, but you can do this. Carl says, don't overcomplicate it, girlfriend. All right. So that is what they are saying. Stop telling him. Stop talking. Just do some actions. Do some things. Call somebody else. Get some paperwork together. Just do the things. Stop talking. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Okay, so this is very, very random, but there is a bug behind me. And I want to know, what do you call this bug? I want you to put it in the comments. What do you call this bug? I saw this and figured I would ask this poll question on my page. So what do you call this bug? Yes, there is a bug. If you're squeamish about bugs, that's why I'm covering the bug up. What is this bug? When you were growing up, what did you start calling this bug? Just answer in the comments and let me know what you used to call this bug. So this was a question asked in Ask Old People Advice, and I thought it was a good discussion question. This person says, has anyone divorced a nice guy? They say, my dad used to say, he doesn't beat you or abuse you. What's the problem when women get divorced? I'm sorry, when women got divorced. Did you ever get a divorce even though things were fine? Did you regret it? I think this is a good discussion question because sometimes people just aren't compatible. Sometimes, we grow and transform in ways that are not compatible with the person that we got married to. And I think that sometimes people think I have to stick it out. But what if that person is more suitable for that person over there? Or you just know that you don't want to spend the rest of your life with somebody. Sometimes you don't have to get a divorce simply because, there's abuse, there's fighting, there's, stress. Maybe it's just like, this person is not who I really, really want to grow old with. But that is me saying that. Let's see what some of these comments say. Ayat KT says, nice doesn't mean everything is fine, and people don't divorce when everything is truly fine. In my case, my ex-husband and I moved across the country to a totally different lifestyle. Although we got the advantages we wanted, we didn't realize what chronic low-grade stress we had from the disadvantages. I ended up starting some time-consuming hobbies as a way to fill the void, and it led us to basically being roommates. We absolutely loved each other, but we couldn't find a way, even with couples counseling, to come back to the dynamic we had before or forge a new one with the people we had pretty separately grown into. See, people just grow differently, they transform. Our divorce was super amicable. We paid for the lawyer together just to draft up the agreement that we'd already agreed upon with no conflict. We hugged after the legally required court date, and while we agreed to have some distance so we could both heal, there was no need for a hard no contact. I have no regrets, and neither does he. Both of us went through a rebound and then found partners better suited for who we had become. We even tried dating again at one point, and we just realized we'd definitely gone past that. See, promising. That is not terrible. Flimsy Fee says, my ex and I went to the courthouse together to file the divorce papers, which we filled out jointly when he came down to visit the kids. Waited in line. I turned the papers over to the clerk. She gave me papers and said I had to serve them to my husband. So I turned around and gave them to him and turned back to her and said, okay, now what? She said, yeah, you can't serve him. Someone else has to. He passed the papers back to me. I passed them to the clerk. I stepped aside and he stepped forward and took them from the clerk. And he said, okay, now what? Clerk said, yeah, I can't serve them either, and took them back. Okay, who can? Clerk says, anyone. Me, well, I beg to differ, clearly, specifically who? Clerk, some third party not involved with the process, over 18 years old. My ex and I turned around. Some little blonde girl was behind us. I asked her how old she was. She was 19. He asked if she would mind serving him. She said, no. We thanked her. I stepped forward again. Clerk gave me the papers. I gave the ex the papers. My ex gave the girl the papers. The girl gave my ex the papers. Then we all turned to the clerk. Does that work? Yeah. Can you all please just sign here, here, and here? Sure. And then I was reassigned 5 months later, needed to wait 6 months for the divorce to be final, and we had the whole process over. Super amicable, though. That was kind of funny to me. They're trying to figure out how to serve the papers. Okay, that was another amicable story. Very promising, very demure, very cutesy. All right, let's see what the next comment holds. All right, Chris Laga says, it kind of reminds me of my divorce. After it was finalized, we went on a date of sorts. We went to the Brazilian steakhouse down the street and celebrated together. We realized we sucked as husband and wife, but did great as friends. We have a kid together. We co-parent well. We're still amicable, and a good dozen years later. See, another positive story. And this is Reddit, y'all. We're getting positive stories on Reddit. KKKFFFAA says, my ex-husband and I walked across the street from the courthouse after our divorce was finalized and drank a few beers together, laughing and crying about it all. It was the best closure to a relationship ever. You know what? I don't think that these comments can get any better. Hopefully, the next one is just as promising, but if it's not, I might end it here. Let's look at the next. Old Wispy Tree says, I also got divorced and still love and care about my ex spouse. My career is centered in one city, and she was having a tough time living there and longed for family. We have 2 kids, so it's been really rough, but I travel back and forth to see the kids and get them in the summer. But my ex is doing much better in her home city than she was here, and I'm doing well now too. It's been rough for the 4 to 5 years, but things are looking up overall. She met someone, then I recently met someone, and while life is pretty crazy, the divorce was not contentious. I pay more in support than I needed to because I love her and the kids. It was very sad at the time, but we didn't fight or hate each other. We had just changed. Life had changed around us, and we ended up in different spots. I also had the painful realization that this wasn't the person I would move anywhere for, would throw a career and friends away for, etc. Even though I did love her. He continues with, much like your situation, sometimes when things are broken, it's hard or impossible to get back to how you might have felt a decade or more earlier. See, like literally, these were all screenshots right in a row, and they were not all, I didn't plan this like this, but they were fine. People don't have to hate each other after divorce. Sometimes people just grow separately, grow differently, grow at unequal times, and just grow apart. All right, I'm gonna end it with that because we need some positive stories in our lives. So join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.